I'm gonna attempt to make a YouTube video for you guys. Can't promise you it's gonna be good. It might be trash, just because I'm not used to looking in the camera. It's like really hard to look at the camera, then like look at the screen, and look at the camera, and look at the screen. So regardless, we're gonna attempt to make a video about the 67 today. We have a lot of things to do. We have the alternator exciter wire, which includes wiring in this resistor, and then we have the brake booster, the master cylinder that has to be put back in, and then I gotta tighten up the rear end in terms of the axle because the axle's loose, and gotta get that lined up again. And then the shifter, there's a ground wire that I have to fix, and then I'll fix the ground wire, and then, you know, reinstall the shifter and all the insulation that's in there. You can see that all right in there. So once we get that done, then I'm gonna attempt to reset the programming on the EFI kit and double check the brakes, make sure all the brakes work and that I don't need to bleed them. And then hopefully we'll get this car on the ground, and maybe not like a driving test, but like a on the ground kind of test, and see if it actually rolls back and forth. But yeah, we'll see where today goes. So hopefully this video ends up being somewhat entertaining, or, you know, just something. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, I'm not used to this whole recording thing anymore, so gotta get back into it. Start with the easy stuff. This is the exciter wire. It ends up being right here. Just want to lock out the boring stuff first. So inline resistor, and then I have to tap into an ignition source over here somewhere. I have one. I have them running over there. I had an extra one, but I have it all wired, or, you know, taped up. So we'll get into that, and then we'll go ahead and start focusing on the master cylinder and stuff, and the brake booster and the clutch lines, all that stuff. But yeah, let's see how that goes. I'll update you guys right now. And just like the Discovery Channel, it's already in there. It's right, I have it nice and tucked in there because I wanted to insulate it really well. I don't want it grounding off on anything. And I ran out of wire looms, so I gotta find some wire looms and cover up all this shit, make it look, you know, more presentable. Even there I came up short, so I gotta go to the store later, pick some up. But for now it's fine. And then I guess now we're gonna head inside, start working on the shifter. I'm actually gonna start on the master cylinder and brake booster first, just because it's nice and cloudy right now, and I don't wanna be out working in the engine bay while it's super hot. So what I did already is I sanded off the, I guess the inlet kind of fitting, I guess just the master cylinder housing. It was all rusty, and you don't want all that rust to be in there, so I went ahead and sanded it off with Scotch-Brite and some sandpaper. Now I'm gonna lube it up with some oil just so it doesn't keep rusting, and then I'm gonna mate it to the master cylinder, which is back over here. So yeah, I gotta get this baby on there. Heavy son of a bitch. We got the brake booster in. I actually lined up the push rod. So there's actually a push rod that goes inside the master cylinder, kind of like this. And then the brake pedal will actually extend that out and push the plunger inside the master cylinder. So if there's too much preload, you'll be sending too much fluid to either the rear or front brakes. And in our case, that's what was happening, or at least my theory, because it would lock up after a while of driving it. So hopefully that solves that issue. In here, we already got the brake clevis on. So it feels super tight still, which means that there's probably still pressure and we haven't leaked any fluid, which is great, which is what I want. So hopefully it stays that way. The clutch pedal feels great too. It goes all the way down. You can feel it disengage the pressure plate. So that's coming together. We'll go ahead and get started on the, whatchamacallit, the shifter. And we gotta put the ground wire, the cover plate, and then insulation, and then we'll head up to the back, and then the back will be working on tightening up the rear axle and lining it up, at least to, you know, eyeball alignment. And then hopefully I got to reprogram the ECU and it will be able to start up again, but we'll see. So if you guys have made it this far into the video, thank you guys. I appreciate it. All right, so the plate's already on. Got self tappers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we got the ground screw here. This one's actually super thick, so the ground loop is actually right underneath the plate, so it's got the grounding from the plate and the actual tunnel itself, which was already down to the bare metal thanks to my dad. So yeah, as you see, I get my knowledge and creativity from my dad. I mean, look at this shit. Like, he made this freaking plate out of, like, I don't even know what the hell he made out of. It's super thin aluminum, but it's pretty badass. So I finally have that put on. I'm gonna put the insulation over everything and then line up this thing. But everything seems to be working fine. You know, it goes into all the, at least, you know, right now it goes into all the gears. I don't know about once we get it driving, or at least when the engine's running. Yeah, so I I gotta align this and then get the installation back on, and put the center console back on, and we'll go from there. Yeah, little progress here and there. I'm also clean. Goes through all the gears. The only one that's kind of like iffy is reverse, because it actually hits the plate, which is fine because no one would be able to steal my car, as they wouldn't know how to go in reverse. I mean, if they had to go in reverse for anything, but regardless, that'd be kind of cool. Yeah, it looks pretty sexy. Looks pretty OEM to me. I mean, not like I'm going for that look anyway, you know, with these seats and the steering wheel and all this shit that I'm doing, but I like the interior to at least look kind of nice, you know. So pretty happy with that. I already tightened up the rear end. I just finished reprogramming it, and it turns out when I had swapped out the clutch pedal, one of my ignition wires that came out from the fuse box, so that ignition wire just so happened to be running the fuel pump. So now that I got that solved, let's see how it does. All right, come on. Looks like it's charging. It's at 14. So I can't really record while I'm like trying to shift into gear and get it started, and actually, like, you know, have one arm out the window, one arm trying to shift, and then clutch in and gas, all that stuff. But what I did notice is when it's not on, it actually shifts into gear fine. Like, you actually put it into each gear like without any issues. But once it starts running, it gets pretty hard to actually put it into gear with the clutch even in. So I'm not too sure what that is. Maybe it just needs to get lubed in and break, you know, it's got to break itself in. But I'll look into it right now, and then yeah, I'm gonna start putting on the electric fan, hopefully find some radiator hoses, and then we'll get this thing to actually run for more than a few seconds at a time. So yeah, progress. Sounds nasty. All right, so the fan is wired up now. I have the relay down there. I still got a zip tie, all the looms and stuff that are just kind of hanging, but I wanted to make sure it actually worked before I started cleaning up. Awesome. And as you can see, it does work. So I'm going to start calling it a day. I'm going and clean up right now. All right, so got a lot done. Well, knocked everything out, so I'm gonna call it a day. Got the alternator to start charging. It does work. It didn't blow out the voltage regulator. The water or the freaking electric fan works. I already wired it all up. It's mounted. I have all the zip tie ends that I still have to cut off, but I'll do that tomorrow. What else? The booster and master cylinder are back in. The pedal feels great. It does feel like it's actually holding pressure still, so hopefully I don't have to bleed it, but tomorrow I'll test it like actually rolling, and then we'll see if it does need to be bled. I just didn't want to do it today because the cars are in the way. It does start, so I reprogrammed the ECU, so it actually is on, it's called Reset Learn, so it's actually relearning the whole curve and everything. So ideally, once it gets running, I'll do it one last time, and then it'll actually learn how I'm driving, and it'll adjust the fuel to air ratios and everything depending on the map sensors. So hopefully that gets done within the month, and we could actually start driving this thing around. So yeah, hopefully this video was somewhat entertaining. I mean, like I said, I'm not good at, you know, it's like I see myself and then I look at the camera, I see myself, I look at the camera. So I have to get used to all that, but it's a work in progress. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoy your weekend.